Welcome everyone, Christine here with the discussion about World of Warcraft Burning Crusade Classic and what's going on right now with the player base. Player activity is dropping significantly in TBC Classic. I'm not talking about subscribers, I'm talking about active players. Personally, I play on Gehenna, one of the most densely populated servers in World of Warcraft Classic in general. And if you had told me or many other people on the server before launch that we were going to be down to 2 layers and there would be very long periods of the day, even at peak hours, you can struggle with finding people for, say, dungeon groups, or the open world in certain areas can feel empty at peak areas. And we're just down to 2 layers. It wouldn't surprise me if in a couple of weeks from now, even at peak hours or close to peak hours, we would be down to 1 on this server. That's pure insanity. I expected a lot more people to be playing the game, and I would expect the people to be far more active. It wouldn't have surprised me to have seen tens of thousands of people online at peak hours on a server like this, but that didn't happen. To begin with, that didn't really happen, or maybe there was a surge that lasted a couple of days and then it went away, but things are going in the wrong direction, and that's just a month after TBC Classic has come out. Imagine how things are going to be in another month, or 2 months, or 3 months. Things are going to get pretty bad pretty quickly, and it wouldn't surprise me if player activity will drop off a cliff. Why is that? Well, a bunch of poor decisions that Blizzard made, particularly in terms that I'd say the biggest impact is in terms of when they decide to release TBC Classic and how they decide to release TBC Classic in terms of how they announced it specifically with regards to the release date. So releasing TBC Classic at the very beginning of summer, at the start of June, was a terrible idea. In the entire history of World of Warcraft, official servers, Classic, private servers, doesn't matter what you're talking about, player activity has always gone down by a fairly significant margin during the middle of summer. Now, this isn't too big of a problem if you're between content updates, but it is a major issue, especially at the start of an expansion, because if you have player activity dropping, what does that mean? It means less guilds. It means guilds don't have a solid roster. It means people can't start raiding. It means people get irritated. It means guilds fall apart or struggle to get their feet off the ground to begin with. And that just leads to less players, because if you have less guilds, right? If guilds are impacted, they are struggling making their rosters, then that leads to less guilds. Less guilds means a lot of people are just going to end up being frustrated and unable to play the game, and they're going to end up quitting. It's a vicious cycle that gets created there, and one of the biggest reasons it's happening, it's summer. It's July right now. People want to go out, especially after last year. They want to go out because things are looking up right now. They want to go out. They want to spend time with their friends, their loved ones. It doesn't matter. This has happened consistently throughout WoW's entire history. Hell, it even happened last year. With all that was going on last year, player activity did drop during last summer. But it's far more damaging to a game. And just to be clear, Classic suffered immensely because of what happened last summer. And it's going to be worse for Burning Crusade, purely because of that decision. But it's not just that. The way Blizzard decided to release Burning Crusade, the way they timed it, gave people too little time to plan ahead. Because when an expansion of World of Warcraft or a major content update comes out, people want to have enough advanced notice. Why do they want to do that? Well, because plenty of people want to take time off from work to play the game. Doesn't matter what skill level we're talking about, from the hardcore of the hardcore to the more casual players. There can be plenty of people who say, okay, I'm going to take a week or a couple of days and just focus on the game. If you release something like a World of Warcraft expansion or the pre-patch without enough advance notice, then that just really screws over a lot of people who now have a short period of time in which they have to sort out things in real life, which means that they play the game less. You see less people leveling to 70, you see less people in the world, and you see people quitting earlier. because they weren't able to accomplish what they wanted to. In fact, you see people not even playing TBC to begin with. In the guild I was trying to build up with a bunch of other people, we lost quite a large number of people just because the way Blizzard timed the release. So that's another factor as well that comes into play here. The way Blizzard handled it was really piss poor. And there's also other issues. There's bugs, there's glitches, there's lack of raiding content, all kinds of problems. And, you know, these issues, the issues in terms of like how the game was in terms of quality, right? The issues of bugs and glitches, all that. Those kind of issues many of those issues could have been noticed in the beta. Now, granted, they did fix a lot, but a lot of people that were playing the beta, including myself, we thought to ourselves, there is no way Blizzard is going to fix all of these issues by the time TBC Classic is coming out with the kind of release date that they chose. And lo and behold, they didn't. They fixed a lot of stuff, but there were still plenty of problems that obviously impacted the enjoyment of the game for a large number of people. So that's an issue, a pretty major one. And why are they doing all of this? The why. Why is Blizzard doing this? Why did Blizzard choose to release Burning Crusade Classic at the beginning of June? Well, the theory I have here, and the theory quite a lot of people have, is they decided to rush a release date. They weren't certain that they were going to make it because of all the problems that were seen in the beta, so they weren't certain. It was a complicated development. The pandemic didn't help all that. Complicated development. Far slower than a lot of people expected, complicated development that really they should have had a couple more months to fix all of these issues for all the problems that would have created in Classic. It's actually far worse that they rushed it, but I'm absolutely certain that the primary reason why they decided to release it when they did, despite all the issues it was going to cause because of summer, because of the problems, the bugs, the glitches, all those kind of things, the damn technical issues, like, you know, the graphical issues that we endured for close to a damn near month on, you know, NVIDIA GPUs until we got the driver update. Those kind of problems. The reason they decided to do it, and I'm absolutely certain on this, is because they wanted to make their financial situation look better for the second quarter of Q2, which is happening around now. Because Blizzard hasn't been doing very well as of late. Shadowlands is a mess. They're not going to recover from that. Shadowlands is not going to recover. And they want to look better in Bobby Kotick's eyes, or the shareholders of Activision. So what do? They rush out TBC Classic. But the long-term impact is going to be overwhelmingly negative for them. They're going to have less players, less subscribers, and maybe they're fine with that. You know, maybe they're fine with having less subscribers, but perhaps a more stable subscriber base. I doubt it's going to be as stable, and they just keep running multiple versions of the game at once. You know, we're hearing about Classic Fresh, that TBC, and Shadowlands all at the same time. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe they're fine with fewer subscribers. Who knows? I think it would have been far more beneficial if Blizzard had decided to give us more advance warning, and if Blizzard had decided to release it until the end of summer and not just rush it for a second quarter release. But there's more to it than just that. There's a lot more to it than just that. It's also the issues that it has in terms of content. The BG situation is a mess. And it was known that it was going to happen. Maybe a lot of streamers didn't make a lot of noise about it until recently, but it was a well-known situation that BGs were in a very messy situation. And guess what? That impacts Arena. The holy Arena that so many people said, oh, if you release tier 5, just a point, if you release tier 5, that's going to screw Arena balance. Because Storm Herald is such an overpowered weapon. You know what's going to screw over Arena balance? And it did. And it messed up completely the way Arena is being played right now. Do you know what screwed over Arena balance? The fact that there's plenty of people playing Arena right now with little to no resilience because they couldn't get the BG gear. And they're not going to spend their time, waste their time. They're going to do Arena with little to no resilience if they're Horde players because they can't get into a battleground. They can't farm the honor. They can't get the items. The BG situation, complete clusterfuck. The Arena situation, complete clusterfuck. And then we get to the raiding situation where it gets even better. Blizzard's decision to only release tier 4 is a disaster, plain and simple. A lot of the people who don't know Burning Crusade, haven't played it either ever or only played it on retail and didn't know what the hell they were talking about. They thought, oh, it's going to be a good decision. You know, we're going to have time to do all these dungeons, to do all these raids. Now, look, from a purely personal, selfish perspective, this is great for me. I get months to level multiple characters, gear them all up. I don't have to stress myself out at all about any of this. But here's the thing. There's nothing to do in the game, right? Raiding-wise. There's nothing to aim for, nothing to strive for. There's no speedrunning. There's no real progression because who cares about Gruul, Mag, and Karazhan? Very few people do, especially when you can beat them in absolutely crap gear with zero effort involved in terms of enchants, gems, or even consumables. Like, you don't really need to put a lot of effort to clear Karazhan or very large portions of it or kill Gruul. Mag and Nightbane, a bit more challenging in terms of bosses, but even then, nowhere near as hard or time-consuming as it could be. And once you're done with that, what else do you have to do? Oh, heroics. Oh, great. Most items in heroics, you don't care about them. Maybe there's some of them are side grade, some of them are good, but what do you care? What's the point in spending time, hours upon hours, farming items in heroics when you have nothing to do with those items, right? There's nothing really to aim for with those items. Items don't just exist in a vacuum. Items exist for a purpose of giving people power so that they enjoy the raiding content, but the raiding content is pretty piss poor if there's no real 25-man raiding content except free bosses that aren't really the greatest in the world. Then what else do you have to do? 10-man raiding? Karazhan is a joke, plain and simple. And Blizzard knew this back in the day when they released SSE and Tempest Keep. It was actually an integral part. The 10-man content, like Tier 4 was a catch-up raid tier for people who were not Dax geared. It was cleared very quickly, exception of Mag for a number of reasons, but Nightbane, Gruul, cleared quickly, even back in the day. SSC and TK were the real raiding content, and when you don't have that kind of raiding content, what are people aiming for? What are people playing the game for? What are people putting in these large number of hours? Because it takes 30, 40 hours to level from 60 to 70, then you have hours of gearing if you care about it. And then you have, of course, the attunement process. Then you have to worry about the actual rating. Why bother spending all that time when there's, again, nothing really to aim for? And there's another factor as well here with the rating content. It's, I guess you could say, the nostalgia or the romantic feeling some people have with regards to bosses. Look at Vanilla. What do you have in Vanilla? What did you have in Vanilla at the start of Vanilla? You had Ragnaros and Onyxia. Two of the most iconic raid bosses that Blizzard ever made. So iconic that they reused them in Cataclysm along with Nefarian. That's how important these bosses were. That's how significant these bosses were. Gruul, Mag, and Nightbane do not have that same impact. People don't care about these bosses. Vashj and Kael do. Illidan certainly does. But you tell people that they have to wait 10 months or a year for Illidan, yeah, people are not going to endure 10 months. They have better things to do with their time than waste it away playing a game just so they can do the raiding content in a single day and just raid log. That's it. People aren't going to bother with that. The PvP situation is screwed up because of Blizzard's decision. The raiding situation is screwed up because of Blizzard's decision. Because I imagine this was what they were thinking, and I've heard plenty of arguments. The PvP argument that I heard about padding out the raid tiers, completely stupid, and I really wish I had pushed back on that a lot more. Because guess what? We were going to have this issue. A lot of people knew we were going to have the BG issue, which would obviously affect the arena situation. But hey, people want to come bitch and moan about how Tier 5 would have ruined the arena season. Yeah, great. That ended going very well. Or that, oh, there's too much content. Except there isn't. See, here's the thing. Many of the heroics don't really matter. In the normal dungeons, you might do them for rep. Oh, that's a great thing. It's like, oh, what do we have to aim for in Burning Crusade? Rep grinding. Yay! That's good. How about actual meaningful PvE content? Oh, we put that away 5 months after launch, and we tied it to the arena season. So we're gonna have to wait 3-4 months, maybe even longer. It wouldn't surprise me if it lasts half a year from launch until they release Tier 5, and then another half a year for them to release Black Temple. That's not an exciting prospect, I gotta say. You know, even for myself, I play this game as a job. It's not really an exciting prospect. It's not exciting for a lot of people on any level of the game, and I've certainly seen a lot of people quitting. Well, either that or they just don't like the game. That's also a factor. Burning Crusade, like many other older versions of games, yeah, it absolutely has problems. The issue is Blizzard hasn't necessarily fixed the issues. In fact, they've made some things worse, or they broke things when they were fine. When the decision that they had made in the past was a good one, say releasing tier 4 and tier 5 at the same time, that was a good one. They screwed that up because they wanted to pad the length of TBC Classic for longer than it should be. Now, some people will tell me, well, you know, if you release tier 5 earlier, wouldn't that mean TBC Classic lasts less? Yeah. And so what? What's the problem with that? You know, it's an old version of the game. Does every version of Classic have to last 2 damn years? I mean, clearly that's what Blizzard wants, because then they have to put less effort. They don't have to hire more people so that Classic can get developed earlier. Like, the problem with the development of TBC Classic and the issues it has isn't because Blizzard can't fix these issues. It's because with the number of people that they actually have working on it, the number of developers and number of actual people, they can't cope with what they have to do in the time they have to do it. That's the problem. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough resources given to them by Activision to deal with these issues in the time frame that they are given. So they're working on less money than they should. But if, say, TBC Classic was going to last, if it was going to be a faster rollout of content, then maybe we wouldn't have these kind of issues. Who knows? Maybe they would have put more effort. Maybe they should. That's the thing. They should put more effort. They should hire more people. They should give the Classic team a bigger budget. They should get more staff to work on it. But they just want to get away with it cheaply. They want to make it last 2 years because that's convenient for them financially, regardless of all the problems that this is going to cause. Because that's ultimately what's leading to all these issues. The drop in player activity, the problems the TBC Classic is going to have, or does have, and is going to continue to have, is driven by piss poor, short-sighted corporate decisions. Costin here signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.